Hi there, and thank you so much for joining this Wind Down Wednesday. Today we are going to talk about MarTech, which is marketing and technology, and a little bit about data and what data can do for you in the business development realm of things as a law practice. So just to introduce myself, I am Antonia Berry, CEO and Chief Strategist of Strategy Academy. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, feel free to reach out, provide feedback, ask questions, whatever you feel is something you want to share at this point. But let's dive into the content. So we're talking about marketing technology and how it relates to business development. Earlier this week, I had a very brief conversation with someone who works in IT, who works in the data and technology space at another law firm. And in speaking with that individual, we got to talking about how technology and marketing, as well, of course, business development kind of overlaps. And with him being in the technology space and I'm, of course, in the marketing / business development space, it was a very, very interesting conversation because in one of those rare instances, somebody from my side of the fence, being in BD and marketing, and somebody from the tech side, the IT side, we're able to speak the same language and we're able to translate across the things that he's seeing in his area and the things that I'm seeing in my area, and how that can just grow a law practice and essentially contribute to the bottom line. And one thing that we talked about was that oftentimes, or just recently, or most recently, there's this big talk about AI, like in every single industry. And of course, a lot of talk about that in the legal industry. And we both came to the conclusion that yes, AI is great, and perhaps AI might not be, super ready right now to do stuff in the legal space, but it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, right? Instead, for right now, him and I both agreed that as it relates to AI is, yes, a useful tool, and yes, it does do all of these like wonky things sometimes, and it even hallucinates at times, and sometimes it doesn't do the right thing. Yes, we get that. And then of course there are people who have this whole notion in their heads that AI is going to come in and take over people's jobs and stuff. And him and I both said, look, I love data. He was like, I love data too. That's why he works in it. And I said, look, maybe one day it will, but right now in the present moment, for people who are in the business development marketing space, AI is not a replacement for us. AI is inspiration. AI is assistance. It is help to get us to move faster, to move to the next step quicker, so that we're able to serve attorneys at a faster pace, so that we're able to turn projects around, we're able to get inspiration and be innovative with the help of AI. But it doesn't replace what we do. We still have to do what we do as people who are in the business development marketing space. He said the same for IT. He was like, look, more than anything right now, AI is inspiration as well. It can be a help, but it's not a replacement. So then we got to talking about automation and perhaps, the overlook of automation that the legal industry is taking part in right now. And instead of, focusing on AI, let's look at automation and how we could use technology to automate lots of those tasks that legal assistants, paralegals, people in the marketing business development side, people in IT, as well as attorneys can perhaps hand over to an automated platform to take away some of the time-consuming tasks that we do. And he agreed and said, look, there are many platforms that have been built, but AI or the subject of AI has come in and basically, laid on top of it. And now all the automation stuff that's been created is now put in the back seat, right? when in fact what we need right now in the legal industry is automation. We need automation to help us to speed up, to help us to work faster. And I said to him, well, here's what automation would do in our world, in the legal marketing world, right? Is the research that we do, speeding that up so that we're able to pull information automatically. We can set parameters within platforms to spit out information. Getting social media to post on a regular basis is automated, where we're not having someone to sit there every day and generate the post. Where we can get automation to do some research for us, by giving it keywords, or maybe it might be client names, or it might be a target, a subject or industry subject matter that we want to get information on. Automate all of that so it's sent to us so that we don't have to go looking for it. And that way all the data is in front of us and we can look at the data, determine what makes sense for us to pass along to our attorneys as industry intelligence or not. And then we can move on to the next thing, right? So now we're not sitting there trolling the internet trying to find the stuff, or logging on to LexisNexis or Westlaw, wherever it is that we get our research information from. Instead, it's automated and it comes to us. So I think that in bringing this subject up of marketing technology as well as data, understanding that AI, yes, does exist, but automation is what we need, is key, right? So that's point number one. And perhaps if we would not focus so much on AI being this thing that's going to take over the world and take away people's jobs, but instead looking at automation to help us, and then looking for AI as innovation, right? Now, on the flip side of this, talking about data is like the thing that drives what we do next in business development. It tells us what the trends are in the market. It tells us the trends in a particular practice. It could tell us, where there's opportunity. It can tell us where, we've lost business or where we've had an uptick in business. So data is another gold mine that a lot of people are kind of not paying attention to, not understanding the importance of it, right? Now, I love data because the data tells me everything I need to know about what I do next, right? And talking with my clients, one of the things I like to say to them is, you're collecting data, whether you realize it or not, you are on your clients. And if you're able to just pull that raw data off and spend some time with it, spending some time with it and seeing how you can flip it over and turn it into something else. It might be that you realize that you have clients that you work with in the past on one subject matter in one practice area, but now, those matters are closed. So you can now think, what would be the next thing as it relates to the legal industry and legal practice that I can sell them, that I can, get them into or get them to look at. One example that I used recently is from a personal injury attorney who is working with clients who have had, near-death experiences or catastrophic type events happen in their lives. Every one of those individuals that have had something happen in their lives have been faced with mortality, right? They thought about, what would happen if, I died in this situation, because the fact that they have a case to bring, bring into the legal space says that it was traumatic enough for them to go, this is beyond a soft tissue type injury. Instead, this is something that, has caused me some type of suffering, some type of loss. And that's why we have a lawyer involved. That's why it's legal, right? These individuals who have thought about this in those moments when they were going through whatever that injury was, obviously have thought about, like I said, mortality. Mortality then makes you think about, what happens to my assets in the event that I pass away? Or what happens to my kids? Or what happens to, my spouse and my other family members, right? And that leads you right into trust, to getting trust and to setting one up. Or perhaps you need to write a will because you don't have one. You suddenly realize it, right? So as an attorney who's handling a personal injury case, think about that. what can you do next with that with that client who you've just finished a personal injury case for, right? So looking at your data would tell you, okay, I know that these people have X amount of assets, because obviously you would have found that out somewhere down the line representing them. So you either find a referral source to send them to that will be paying you referral fees, or you start thinking about how you can buy a practice or bring in an attorney that's a trust attorney that could join your firm, and you could start a whole brand new practice. And guess what? Now revenue has gone up because now you offer something else on the back of what you had just finished doing. Because guess what? There's no time like the time in the moment to hit on something that's hot, and it's very hot then when they've just had a major life event, a traumatic event, probably, that let them think about death. Let them think about, what happens to their assets and their kids and their families and all that stuff in the event that they pass. So, of course, I went a little bit past just the topic of, marketing technology and data and that type of stuff, as well as past AI and past automation. But that should give you a little insight into how people like me in the business development space, we're able to use data and flip it into getting you to understand that there's more in the data than you imagine and think about on the surface. So with that, I will again thank you for joining this Wind Down Wednesday, and I really, really hope that all the tips that were provided here, as well as the very elaborate example about how you can flip data to your advantage and perhaps turn it into a new revenue source, hoping that is able to help you grow your practice, to really think about what could be next, and just explore the opportunities. So thank you so much for joining this Wind Down Wednesday. My name is Antonia Berry. I am the CEO and Chief Strategist of Strategy Academy. Thank you so very much for joining. Bye now.